Hey everyone! So today we're going to try and make these beautiful tulip keychains as you can see here. So we've got the leaf with the tulip. It's quite small and dainty and you'll be able to wrap it around your bag or your purse or wallet or whatever it may be. But these tulip keychains are very adorable and I think you'll enjoy making them. It doesn't take too long, probably 30 minutes maximum. So the things that you may need as your materials for this is a 1.9mm hook, as well as some fiber filling, a pair of cutters, a sewing needle. Oh, and of course we can't forget our 4-ply cotton yarn. So that's what I'm using here. As you see here, this is made of 4 strands, which is why this is called 4-ply cotton yarn. Okay, so to begin this, all we're going to do is grab the color of your choice. It doesn't matter what color you want. And then we're just going to start by making a magic ring with your 1.9mm hook. So here is my magic ring, just like that. Once you've done your magic ring, all you'll need to do here is make 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So here's number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. Now that we have 6 single crochet stitches inside our magic ring, we're going to pull the yarn tail right here until the magic ring starts to close, and you'll see this closing right now. And there we go. So it's pulled nice and tightly, and you can usually pull quite tightly with cotton yarn because it won't break, but with other styles of yarn, just be very careful with that. We're going to be crocheting in a spiral at this point, so as soon as I put my hook inside this first stitch that we made, we will count whatever stitch we make inside this as our first stitch in the second round. Now, I also want to bring in my yarn tail from the back here. Instead of weaving this in later, I'm going to weave it in right now as I crochet, so it's just going to sit on top of the hook for my next couple of stitches. Now for round 2, as you can see at the bottom here, we're going to be working an increase in every stitch. So here's the first single crochet stitch, and then we'll enter the hook back inside that same stitch space with this yarn on top, and we'll make the second single crochet stitch, which is also known as the increase. And then we'll just repeat this 6 times all the way around, so we have a total of 6 increases, meaning we have 12 single crochet stitches in total for the second round. So there's number 3. Once I've weaved in this yarn tail for about 3 stitches, we're pretty good there and I don't need to weave it in anymore. You can actually cut that off now. So here's number 4 increase, number 5 increase, and finally number 6 increase. And that there is the end of round 2. Now, don't forget, you can use a stitch marker if you'd like to as well. I will probably just count these stitches at this point, so I won't use a stitch marker, but feel free to use a stitch marker if you don't want to get lost and you feel more confident with it. Now, in the third round, we're going to be doing the following. We're making a single crochet stitch and then work 1 increase in the next stitch. And we'll repeat that a total of 6 times. So let's do that here. Single crochet stitch first, and then an increase, 1 and second single crochet stitch there. Now let's repeat this another 4 times. So single crochet, increase right here, single crochet, increase, this is number 4, single crochet, increase as number 5, and finally single crochet and increase as your 6th repetition. And there we go. That's the end of round 3 right here. And this is as big as we will get. We will have no more increases to make here. Now what we need to do is go from rounds 4 to 9, just making single crochet stitches. So this will be 18 single crochet stitches in total from rounds 4 to 9. So let's begin that now. And here we go now, guys. We just finished rounds 1 to 9 all the way up to the top. And since we crocheted in a spiral, in the very next stitch, I'm just going to make a slip stitch to kind of even out or level out the top row right there. So just a slip stitch in the very next stitch. And then you're going to take out about, let's say about 20 centimeters worth of yarn and then cut it. And you'll have this to use for sewing later. So at this point, you want to grab some of your fiber filling and then just push it inside your little tulip as you can see here. Just push it all the way in. Don't fill it completely up to the top. Just leave a little bit of a space at the top there so that you can make those petals a little bit more profound, or you can see them a little bit easier. So I'm just going to continue filling up my tulip until I think it's just about right. So I'd say perhaps just at this point where I can push it down and I can fold this without some fiber filling coming out. Now at this point, I'm going to use a yarn needle, and I usually use like a quite pointy or sharp yarn needle here with a decent enough eye of the needle to fit my 4-ply cotton yarn through. This is no particular brand in the needle. I just went to the cheapest, I guess, a place that I could find, and got the cheapest needle that I could find, and it worked out perfectly. Now what you want to do is fold your tulip where this slip stitch is. It should be facing, or it should be directly in the middle of your tulip. And then you want to find the halfway point and stick your needle inside that point and then pull through. Then you're going to wrap around and stick the needle through those 2 stitches again that define that midpoint of your tulip, and you'll pull your yarn, keeping it nice and tight at that point. Then you're going to turn this around about 90 degrees clockwise, and then insert your yarn needle at the midpoint, somewhere midpoint here, of the other side. So we're going to pull that now, and then we're going to turn it 180 degrees clockwise again, and we're going to insert our yarn needle in the midpoint of this section here, and then pull this through just like that. And now I'm going to keep this nice and tightly pulled, and my needle is going to come back in this stitch here underneath this middle point, and then back out in this middle section here, and we're going to pull the yarn now very nice and tightly there, and we'll just do that one more time. So I'll come in those mid points right there and underneath this center part to pull it all together, and we'll pull it nice and tightly there. So now we've formed some little petal sections of, or fold sections of this tulip. Now just to finish this off, we're just going to go into each petal at the 2 stitches that are closest to the center, and we'll work our needle through those 2 stitches and pull the yarn. So there's 1, here's number 2, this one here will be number 3, and finally number 4. Now I'm pretty happy with that. Some of you might want to go underneath this section again, and it's completely up to you depending on how secure you think your tulip is. I'll just do it here to show you there. And there we go. So now that I think this is secure, I'm going to weave my yarn needle into the body of my tulip just a few times. So here's maybe 1 time, and then I'll come up here. I'm following the line of this stitch here, so it's not obvious that I'm going across a stitch with the sewing here, and I'll pull that, and now I'm happy with that. So once you're happy, just cut off any excess, and then if anything is showing up, push it back inside. And there we go. So that is the tulip body right there. And here, this is the second part of this tutorial, where we're going to grab some green yarn, and this time we're going to make a leaf. So in order to make a leaf, the first thing you want to do is make a slip knot. So a slip knot, there's many ways that you can make it. I just grab the yarn, pull it through, and there we go. There's our slip knot. Now from here, we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7. And then in the second loop from the hook, we're going to start off with a single crochet stitch. In the next loop, we're going to make a half double crochet stitch. And then in the next loop, we're going to make a double crochet stitch. And in fact, we're going to make another double crochet stitch in the next loop. Then a half double crochet stitch. And a single crochet stitch, and this is the last loop here. So in this very last loop, you're going to crochet an additional 2 single crochet stitches. So that means you'll have a total of 3 single crochet stitches in that last loop. Then you're going to turn your piece around, and you're going to start working in the back side of the chain. So we're going to make a half double crochet stitch in the very next stitch, and we're going to mirror what we have on the opposite side. So half double crochet first, and I'm going to weave in this yarn tail as well as I'm doing that. Then we have a double crochet stitch, and we'll make 2 of those. So here's the second one. then back to a half double crochet stitch. I think that's enough weaving in of this tail, so I can leave it at this point. And then in the very last backside chain, I'm going to make a single crochet stitch just like that. Now to finish this off, all I'm going to do is have my hook be inserted into that very first stitch that I made, and then just make a slip stitch just like that. Now we can cut off this yarn tail here because we have now weaved it in, so we don't need that anymore. And for the last part, let's do this together. So what we're going to do is grab our tulip body. We're going to insert our hook with the leaf on the hook into the center magic ring. So we're going to come in here, insert our hook, and from the center we'll go out one stitch, just like that. Then we're going to grab our yarn, have the leaf facing the right way, pulling this yarn tail above the center, and then pull it through and make a slip stitch. So you'll make a slip stitch right here, just like that. And from here we're going to chain 50. 1, 2, 3, etc. And there we have 50 chains right there. And now we're going to straighten out this chain. So I'm just going to follow my fingers through the chain so I straighten it out as much as I can, because we don't want a chain that's a little bit tangled out later on. Once I've straightened that out, I'm going to insert the hook back into the center point and then come out at any other side stitch, as you can see here. And I'm going to make another slip stitch. So pull that yarn through with your hook as best as you can, and then make a slip stitch into the loop that's on the hook. And from there we can just pull the yarn through and cut off around about a 15 to 20 centimeter yarn tail right there. And I'll show you what we do for the last part, and we'll just keep this very concise so that you can follow this nice and easy. So we'll first grab a yarn needle, and we're going to weave that green yarn tail into the eye of the needle. Once you've done that, you're going to insert the needle into the center of that magic ring at the bottom here. And then where this leaf will go, I'm going to emerge my yarn needle around about this point, and it will follow the side of this leaf, as you can see here. And I will pull this quite tightly so it pulls this all together. Then I'm going to insert my needle at the bottom section here and side section of my leaf, and then I'll come up one stitch space apart and enter my needle into the same stitch. I then will move 2 stitches to the side and diagonally once, just like that. So 1 stitch above, 2 stitches to the side, and I'll insert and emerge my needle out that point. And then I'm going to do a similar thing. So I'm going to insert my hook into this side of my leaf, come out 1 stitch above, and then back into that same stitch space as I have before. The needle will then emerge in the center again of that magic ring. And finally, just to bring it all together, see the base point of my leaf? I'm going to insert it at this very first stitch that I have here, pull it through, and then enter the needle back again into the center of the magic ring. And pull that nice and tightly. And finally, we can just weave our yarn tail back and forth through the fiber filling that's in the middle of this tulip so we can make it nice and secure. And once you're happy with that, we're just going to chop off any excess and push in our little yarn tail back inside the body to hide. And there we have a tulip keychain. So guys, as you can see, it roughly takes about 20-25 minutes to make this, and you can make a ton of them at your disposal. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye.